So you recently adopted a new cat, and you want to integrate them into the home with your resident cat.
You tried doing a slow introduction using the best advice you could find online. The usual procedure of scent exchange, followed by site swapping and feeding them on opposite sides of a door, then letting them see each other through a baby gate. But that only got you so far. Maybe you stopped there and got stuck, or maybe you took it a step further and let the cats interact with each other in the same room. Maybe it was accidental. One of the cats jumped over the gate and chased the other cat under the bed. Now the cats are hissing every time they see each other. It's exhausting trying to supervise them constantly, but you're worried that if you leave them alone in the same room together, there will be a fight. Your friends told you to let the cats sort things out, so you took the baby gate down against your better judgment. But now the younger cat keeps trying to play with the older cat, and the older cat is getting stressed out. There's hissing and chasing on a daily basis, and one of the cats has started peeing outside the litter box.
Why can't the cats just get along? Here's the hard truth. The usual method of introducing cats doesn't work in every situation. It would be nice if there was a clear step-by-step process to follow, but you're helping cats build a relationship, and just like every cat is an individual, every relationship is unique.
Your cat may be really friendly with people. That doesn't mean they want a feline friend. Or they may have been best friends with another cat in the past. That doesn't guarantee they'll get along with the new cat.
Every relationship is different. There's no one-size-fits-all procedure that works for introducing cats.
That would be like saying there's one introduction process for making friends, or for choosing a roommate, or finding a life partner or spouse.
I'm sure you've heard people say that they followed the usual procedure and it worked for them. Maybe they even introduced a new cat in a relatively short amount of time. That's great. But that doesn't mean it will work for everyone. We don't do ourselves any favors when we go in with those expectations.
I recently did a survey through the Pet Professional Guild to find out more about the methods people are using and their results when introducing cats. Surprisingly, there were no clear patterns in which methods were most successful or how long the introductions took. It was a small group, only 25 people, and it wasn't a random sample, so the results can't be used to draw conclusions about the population as a whole. What we can see is that the time frame of introductions ranged from 1 day to 18 months.
The point is that there's really no way of knowing whether it will take a few days or several months to integrate a new pet into the home. We're better off expecting it to take longer and letting our pets set the pace. There's really no danger of going too slowly. Remember, you're helping your pets build a relationship. The usual introduction method might work for kittens, but it's often problematic for adult cats, and even introductions between a kitten and an adult. Actually, a recent study showed that for kittens, a slow introduction may or may not be helpful. It is important to do a slow introduction for adult cats. And a slow introduction is slower than you think. We're talking months, not days, in most cases. Think of one of your good friends. How long did it take you to form a friendship? Probably more than a few days, unless you met when you were little kids. Why would the usual introduction method often work for kittens, but not for adult cats?
The way I think of it is, like human kids, kittens aren't worried about resources like food and territory. When they're young, their world is all about play and exploring, kind of like kids enjoying a holiday celebration. Meanwhile, the adults are stressing out about expenses and who's doing what, trying to make everything just right.
To help little kids make new friends, you might simply put them together and let them play, with a little supervision to keep them safe. Now, of course, that doesn't work in every case. If a person's an only child and they had minimal interaction with other kids growing up, they will be lacking some social skills. If a person grew up in an unstable environment and they've learned not to trust people, it's going to be harder for them to make friends.
It's definitely not as easy making friends as an adult.
First impressions matter. One study showed that for households with inter-cat tension, about 50% of them had some conflict right from the start.
Imagine someone brings a stranger to your apartment and tells you the two of you should get to know each other and be friends. Or maybe they've set you up for a date. If you don't have something to do together, that's going to be really awkward. You might feel like you didn't ask for this, and this new person is invading your space. The new person is probably going to feel super uncomfortable because not only are they in an unfamiliar environment, but they're trying to get to know you, a total stranger. Whether it's meeting a new friend, a potential roommate, or a romantic interest, getting to know someone goes a lot better when you have something to do together. For people, our social gatherings are often centered around food. Families share meals together. At school and work, we meet and talk with friends over lunch. For dating, think of how many dates involve going to a restaurant together. But that's not the only option.
A date could involve physical activity like dancing, hiking, or playing a sport, or challenging your brain with thinking like trivia night, an escape room, or playing a board game.
Novelty and spontaneity can be fun, while having structured activities helps us have appropriate expectations so we can relax and not worry about what's going to happen next, not feel totally out of control.
Now, sometimes a stressful situation can bring people together. Several adventure romance movies come to mind. But that's not always the case. Just as often, it can exacerbate conflict and drive people apart. Cats are like us humans in many ways. They have their own needs, feelings, and desires, and they form relationships. But it's important to remember that cats aren't small, furry humans. They have their own experiences. One of the biggest differences between humans and cats is that humans are considered a true social species. Social connection in some form is part of being human. We might even say it's what makes life worthwhile. Cats, on the other hand, have varying levels of sociability. Some cats form close bonds with each other or with other species, while others lead largely solitary lives. This is where our introductions often go wrong. We think that having cats share a meal together is going to help them form a positive association and become friends. Food is good, and you're here, so you must be good too. That makes sense for us humans. In most cases, sharing a meal together is a positive thing. But I bet you can think of at least one experience where eating with other people created tension. And guess what? Cats aren't social eaters.
That's right. Cats hunt small prey that isn't big enough to share. If a cat spots another cat when they're about to eat, they'll probably carry their prey elsewhere so they can eat in peace.
If the only time we give them access to an essential resource is when they're on the opposite side of the gate from another cat, we're adding tension to an already stressful situation. For adult cats, they're more likely to see each other as rivals than friends. Some cats will eat too fast, while others will decide that the food isn't worth it. Being face to face with a stranger is too stressful. It sometimes works for kittens because if they were raised in a stable environment when they were really young, they feel secure. They aren't concerned about territory and resources. They're focused on playing and exploring, being a kid. Food is good, so you and the other cat become good by association.
That's how people can use feeding to socialize young kittens.
With older, under-socialized cats, we don't want to limit feeding to when humans are present. They need access to resources to feel secure, and interactions need to be consistent and predictable. Sometimes what the cat wants is for you to give them space and they'll come around.
If you try to force it or bribe a scared cat to come closer, you're asking for trouble. Confining a new cat for an introduction is even worse. Some people will tell you to put the new cat in a carrier to introduce them to your dog, but that's really scary for the cat. Even if we know there's no danger, the cat doesn't see it that way. Imagine facing a potential predator and feeling totally out of control, unable to escape. That would be like saying, the tiger needs a friend, and putting you in a cage.
As cats become socially mature, somewhere between a year and a half and 4 years old, their focus shifts from play to hunting for survival. They become more concerned about territory and resources.
At some point, they'll probably experience having their food stolen by another cat. Then they begin to be more wary at mealtime. That's why it's important in a multi cat household to feed the cats in separate areas so they all have their own space. You may have seen cute videos of two cats licking off the same treat tube. This is problematic because the cats are in each other's faces. What's going to happen when the treats run out? Saw that coming.
You may be wondering, does all this mean we can't use treats for introductions? We can definitely use treats. It's all about how we use them. We can toss treats away from the gate for redirection, and we can give treats as reinforcers during training, as long as we aren't using treats to lure the cats closer to each other. Remember, proximity is not the goal. We want peaceful coexistence. If the cats need a lot of personal space, that's fine. Now that we know that feeding cats meals on opposite sides of the baby gate is not the best way to introduce them, what should we do instead?
Start by adding a second gate to create a neutral buffer zone. It may not seem important and it may seem like an inconvenience, but it makes a huge difference in helping the cats feel safe, and it's going to make your introductions more successful in the long run.
Teach the cats activities that they can do together. It could be playtime or more structured training. Don't worry, you don't have to be a professional cat trainer. That's my job.
Peekaboo is a simple game that can be very helpful. Give the cats brief glimpses of each other and teach them to redirect their attention away. Observe the cat's body language to ensure you're going at an appropriate pace, not pushing too fast and making them more stressed out.
Pattern games are particularly useful. What are pattern games? Pattern games are games that provide a consistent, predictable structure. The idea of pattern games comes from dog trainer Leslie McDevitt. Although they were originally developed for dogs, pattern games are also great for cats.
The idea is that when the cats know what to expect, then the activities become almost second nature for them. They can do the desired behavior without thinking. That gives us a solid foundation to build on, so when the cats are together, you can redirect them easily.
And that's important because if you've ever tried to distract a cat once they've locked on to their opponent, it's nearly impossible. But if you have this almost automatic behavior pattern that they can fall back on,
When the cats are together, you can actually redirect them successfully.
these are the kinds of things that a professional cat behavior consultant can help you with. Because every situation is unique, they can help you develop a plan for your individual pets. If you're looking for help with a cat introduction or you want to improve your existing cat's relationships, reach out to a qualified professional. You can work with me, or you can find another certified cat behavior consultant through the IAABC or PPG directory. Thanks for watching!